They say men are scared of strong, successful women. But here's the truth. Only wounded masculine men are. Healthy masculine men, they love when we are in our power because our radiance doesn't threaten them. It inspires them. Hi, beautiful friends. I'm Lucia. If you're new here, welcome to my channel. This is a space where we step out of survival mode and into our feminine glow. Let's be really honest for a moment. If a man is truly in his healthy masculine, he will not be intimidated by our strength or our independence or our success. What is healthy masculine? He's grounded, he's present, he's unshaken. He wants us to shine because that is a reflection of him. He celebrates our wins because he's not threatened by them. He doesn't need to dim our light in order for him to feel like a man, because deep inside, he already does. But the wounded masculine, what is the difference? He may compete with us. He may shut down, withdraw, or try to control. Because deep down inside, he's scared of not being enough, of not being needed, of losing his power. According to studies from Harvard Business Review, some men with fragile ego do feel threatened by female success, but secure men, they don't define their worth by dominance. They lead with purpose and with presence. If we desire deeply masculine men, healthy masculine men, one who leads, protects, creates emotional safety, provides, then we have to be willing to be in our feminine, because it is a polarity. So if we are a little bit in our feminine, we will attract a little bit masculine men. But if we are deeply in our feminine, we'll attract a man who is deeply in his masculine. Because polarity is magnetic, so opposites attract. So what we have to learn as women who slay all day in the workforce, we can be powerful in the bedroom, boardroom, but bedroom too. We can be powerful in the boardroom, but when we're with our men, we get to soften, we get to receive, we get to be held, not because we are weak, but because we're finally feeling safe enough to surrender. But in order for that to happen, we need to be with a masculine man. Because if we are with men who has wounded masculinity, we will not be feeling safe enough to drop into our feminine. And if that's not happening, then we are going to be in our masculine all day long at work. And when we come back at home with our men, we'll also be in our masculine. And so that will create resentment. And ultimately, we will be unhappy because we're going to be in our masculine. And that is not our natural state. What is the healthy masculine traits versus the wounded masculine traits? Healthy masculine traits are grounded presence, clarity of vision, integrity and consistency. Wounded masculine is ego-driven and defensiveness, emotionally unavailable, feels threatened by our success, avoids vulnerability. What is healthy feminine? Healthy feminine is radiant and intuitive, emotionally open and creative, receptive and self-trusting, expresses needs with grace. Wounded feminine is overgiving and self-abandoning, controlling or clingy, emotionally reactive, afraid of being unseen or alone. Many of us have heard at some points in our life someone's telling us, you're too much, or you're too much for him. But what if the truth is we've just been choosing men who are too little for us? Not because we're broken, but because we've been stuck in our own wounded feminine energy. And when we heal, then we stop chasing love and start receiving it. And ultimately, we start choosing differently. What we need to do is look inside and see, how can I choose differently? Why did I choose this person? Am I operating from a true feminine energy, or am I operating from a wounded feminine energy? And it's not about self-criticism and blaming ourselves. We need to do it with compassion. And the best way for me is with journaling. Journal this prompt. Where am I still leading in love instead of receiving? Leading in love and trying to control an outcome or to lead a relationship in a certain way, that's a masculine trait. It means we're not in our feminine. We're operating from fear, and fear, it's contradictory to feminine energy. My last relationship, I attracted a man who was in his wounded masculine energy. Most of my life, I attracted men who were fully in their masculine, and I was operating on my feminine energy. However, 15 years ago, I became a single parent, immigrant in one of the most expensive cities in the world, New York City. I became so immersed in my masculine. I operated on my masculine day and night, in work, at home, everywhere. And I shifted this polarity. My feminine got suppressed because I had to be in survival mode and operate and be the best parent, the best employee, prove myself at work. I work in a very male-dominated environment in a TV production. Most of the times, I'm the only woman in the control room. Most of the times, I'm one of the few women on the production set. And so I had to prove myself all the time. I was one of the guys. And so I was operating in my masculine. And years later, I attracted a man who was in his feminine, and it just did not feel good. I was constantly anxious. I was not able to just let go, lean, receive, feel safe. I was constantly anxious. And I struggled with anxiety many years ago and panic attacks. So this place felt very familiar and not a good place to be. I had to leave this relationship because it felt absolutely wrong. Am I blaming the person? Absolutely not. Not at all. What I can do is look inside and see, how did I show up? Why did I attract someone like that? That's the number one question. Why did I attract someone like that? I attracted someone like that because I was in my masculine. The next journaling prompt is, what does safety in love feels like to me? And what kind of a masculine energy allows me to soften in that way? I know for me, I need to feel emotionally, mentally, physically provided, protected, and cared for. That is me. It might be something else for you, but only by reflecting, journaling, and looking inside, you can figure it out. Here's a mantra for you. The more I soften, the more aligned love flows to me. I attract grounded, masculine energy by embodying my feminine glow. Please understand, our strength is not the problem. We need men who are strong enough to hold it. We also need to operate from our feminine side in order to attract that kind of a man. Let's stop repeating the old story and that limiting belief that success repels love, or men are scared of successful women. That is not the case. And if you believe that, you will attract that. Simple. We attract what we believe. So you have to reframe that kind of thinking. Wounded masculine men are threatened by successful women, not healthy masculine men. Big difference. Real love, aligned love, divine masculine love will never ask you to shrink. You'll never be too much for the right person. So stop buying into that antiquated way of thinking, because it might sound like an excuse or a reason, but guess what? In the end of the day, you feel stuck just because of that way of thinking. You attract what you believe. Start believing and telling yourself a different story. If that resonates with you, please support this growing community by subscribing, leaving a comment. It will mean the world to me. I decided to be so consistent with this YouTube channel. I want to see it grow to the next level. And I truly feel aligned to speak on this topic. I would appreciate if you leave me a comment and if you share this with someone who you think it might resonate with. And don't forget that the most important relationship is the one you have with yourself. I'll see you next time. Ciao.